Good evening, Zimbabwe. You are listening to Studio 7 from the Voice of America in Washington. This is Live Talk. I am Kip Stube.
And I'm Marvelous Mhlanga-Nyahuye, broadcasting from my home in Washington, D.C. because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Tonight on Live Talk, we are talking about COVID-19, the Jacob Zuma saga, and other issues.
According to the Ministry of Health, 19 people died of COVID-19 in Zimbabwe yesterday, and 809 tested positive for the disease. Zimbabwe has so far recorded 55,474 COVID-19 cases, over 400,000 recoveries, and unfortunately, 1,878 deaths since the pandemic started in March last year.
At least 793,000 people have received their first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine and almost 600,000 their second dose. This is happening amid concerns of an upsurge in COVID-19 cases in Zimbabwe.
According to health officials in various provinces, some hospitals are running out of beds, while others are facing problems of securing the much-needed oxygen tanks.
In other news, former South African President Jacob Zuma is expected to return to the Constitutional Court on July 12th to challenge his 15-month sentence for contempt of court.
Zuma claims that he's being victimized by a system which is similar to that of apartheid, but critics say he has to follow the law. Like all South Africans, Zuma is facing charges of graft, but declined to appear before a commission headed by acting Chief Justice Zondo, a man he knows very well from his rural home in KwaZulu-Natal. He has asked Zondo to recuse himself in the case.
Supporters of the former president say Zuma is being victimized by the current government, and as a result, they will camp at Inkandla until the case is finalized. Ibokambe zurwanda balinjani lapha likhona endaweni zonke zomhlaba ezijeneyo. Lamhlanje ke ku Live Talk sixoxa nge-COVID-19 lokunye okujiyeneyo ukugoqela ke udaba lukaMnumzana Jacob Zuma wakwele South Africa. Siyakwazi ukuthi khona ngale kulobuzima. Kuzobuya ke njalo siyabona uhlangothi lwezempilakahle luthi kona kulabantu abayi-19 ababulawe yi-COVID-19 izolo eZimbabwe, kwathi abayi-809 ngabantu abathestwe batholakala bele-COVID-19. Okwamanje siyabona ukuthi kusukisela ngoMbimbido nyakenye sokulabantu 54,474 asebetholakale bele-COVID-19, kuthi abayi-40,000 ngabantu asebephepha kumkhuhlane lo, abayi-1,878 ngabantu asebathathwa yi-COVID-19. Siyabona njalo ukuthi asebejovwe amajekiseni okuvikela umuntu ku-COVID-19 sebefika ke 793,000. Kube yilaba ke ngabahlatshwe okokuqala, asebehlatshwe okwesibili bafika 600,000. So khanya luyaqhubeka uhlelo lolo kwele Zimbabwe. Kodwa konke lokhu kwenzakala ngesikhathi kuzwakala ukuthi ezibhedlela lapha kulobuzima. Sibonile ke amaphephandaba njenge-Chronicle, kuzobuya iSunday News, kuzobuya lesixoxe labo ezibhedlela ezijiyeneyo. Bathi ke kukhanya ngazani ke umkhuhlane lo sumemetheka ngamandla, njalo ezibhedlela lapha akusela ndawo yokulalisa abantu, so kukhanya ngazani kuyethusa kakhulu. Kwezinye izibhedlela njalo sizokuthiwa ke akusekho lokho kuthiwa i-oxygen, amatanka lana phela alo moya ukuthi uyasebenzisa nxa umuntu segula ebulawa yi-COVID-19. Kwezinye ke indaba sizwa ke kuthiwa ke wayengumongameli wakwele South Africa uMnumzana Jacob Zuma ubuyele emthethwandaba khona ngale ecela ukuthi isigwebo sakhe se-15 months sibekwe eceleni. Siyakwazi ukuthi i-Constitutional Court yamgweba isithi ke uZuma wadelela umthethwandaba, so ngakho ke kumele ayengena entilongweni okwe-15 months. Kodwa uZuma yena uthi hayi, lokhu phela sokungani yilokho okwakusetshenziswa ngoPeter Botha ukuthi bathi ngena entilongweni loba ke ungathethwanga icala lakho ngemfanelo. So sibonile ke abanye abantu abasapota uZuma kumbe ngithi abasekela uZuma bekhempile khona ngale nkandla bethole imkhonto, abanye induku, abanye amarekeni, abanye konke nje ongani kuyabulala nje. Izigila zangikhona ungazibona uyethuka. So besithi hayi ukuthi ke kuthathwe uZuma ahanjiswe kungahlupha, ngangcono yena abulawe kumbe babulale bona bengakabambi uZuma. So uZuma ke ufuna ukuthi u-acting Chief Justice uZondo uCommission ehlolisisa ke ubukhohlakale ukuthi wabenza asuke khonapho, ngoba uthi ubaba lo bayazana, ngakho ngawona ke nxa sokunjalo. So kunjalo ke Marvelous, kunenge esixoxa ngakho khona manje. Yes, so bamba khonapho Marvelous sikungenise kuhlelo siyakubona ukuthi ungazani ukhatshana. Qhubeka khonapho-ke sesikubonile Marvelous. Yenza njalo.
aiwa kune avo vachangobva kupinda muchirongwa tinokuchingamidzai nemufaro pano pachirongwa chedu nemusi wemuvhuro July 5 2021. nhasi tiri kuenderera mberi tichitarisa isu nyaya yedambudziko rechirwere checovid-19 tichitarisa zvakare zviri kuitika panyaya yenhomba yechirwere ichi. Tinoona kuti bazi rezveutano nezuro rakazivisa kuti pane vanhu 19 vakawanikwa vachishaya kubva kudenda iri recovid-19 uyezve nezurowo zvakare pane vanhu 809 vakawanikwa vachibatwa kutested positive nechirwere ichi. Tozotarisa kuti tichitarisa kubvira pakatanga chirwere checovid-19 munyika muna March gore rapfuura, Zimbabwe yava nevanhu 55,474 vabatwa nedenda iri recovid-19. Totarisawo kuti vanhu vanosvitsa ivo 40,000 vawanikwa vachibatwa nedenda iri asi vachiri kunda. Totarisa zvakare kuti pari zvino pane vanhu 1,878 vawanikwa ivo vachishaya kubva kudenda iri kubva muna March gore rapfuura. Totarisa nhomba yecovid-19 pari zvino panonzi pane vanhu 793,000 vabayiwa ivo nhomba yavo yekutanga yecovid-19 muchirongwa chavanoti icho chesecond phase yechirongwa ichi yekubaya vanhu nhomba. Totarisa zvakare kuti pari zvino pane 600,000 vanhu vanodaudzira over 500,000 vabayiwa ivo manhomba ese maviri. Asi tinotarisa kuti hurumende iri kuti iyo bazi rezveutano rinoda kuti pave nevanhu 10 million vanenge vabayiwa nhomba iyoyi kuitira kuti pave paine yavanoti iyo herd immunity. Tombotarisa zvakare kuti kune zvimwe zvipatara zviri kune dzimwe nharaunda zviri kunzi izvo muzvipatara izvi mibhedha yekuti vanhu vanorwara necovid-19 vawanikwe ivo vachipiwa muzvipatara izvi iri kushomeka uyezve oxygen kana kuti mweya uye unoda kuiswa pamunhu kana achinge arwara necovid-19 unonzi zvakare uri kushomeka, saka hakuna maoxygen tank. Izvo zviri kunzi navana mazvikokota ezveutano zvinogona kukanganisa utano hwevazhinji munguva inotevera. Totarisa zvakare imwe nyaya tichange tiri kutarisa nezvayo, tichange tiri kutarisa zviri kuitika muSouth Africa panyaya yavaJacob Zuma vaimbova ivo mutungamiri wenyika yeSouth Africa, avo vanga vakatarisirwa kunzi vaendeswe muchizarira kwe15 months. Asi takaona iro weekend ino takaona vatsigiri vavo vachimira kumukandla uko kwavanogara vachitsika madziro kuti kwete vaZuma havafanire kuiswa muchizarira. Saka zviri kunzi izvo vaZuma vakakwidzawo mapepa kumatare ekuti vawanikwe izvi zvisingaitike, saka vari kunzi ivo vachamira kuconstitutional court musi waJuly 12. Imo muno muAmerica zvakare mune chimwe chiitikowo chiri kuitika pari zvino. Tinotarisa kuti nezuro yanga iri 4th of July izuva rekuzvitonga kuzere kweAmerica imo muno, saka kunenge kuri kuitika zvizhinji, vanhu vanenge vachigotya nekudya nezvimwe zvakadaro vachipemberera kwavanoti ivo kuzvitonga kuzere. Imo muno kunoitwa zvakare avanoti mafireworks nezvimwe zvakawanda, saka mhuri panguva iyoyi dzinosangana dzichionana pazuva irori re4th of July. Saka tange tiri kukurukura nevanyarikani vedu vari muno imo muno muAmerica tichimbonzwa kuti ivo vanga vari kuitei pazuva irori, tichitarisa zvakare zvimwe zvatiri kutaura nezvazvo.
Yeah, marvelous. We can start with what the Justice Minister Ziyambi said in Chinoi when he was addressing some state officials. He was talking about who has to follow the guidelines, COVID-19 guidelines. And according to him, even his party should actually follow exactly what is supposed to be done. So it seems as if, there are some people who are complaining that, ZANU-PF is holding many meetings without following COVID-19 regulations. So let's hear him talking to some of the civil servants and Themba Mliswa, who is the local MP in nearby Norton. So here he comes.
ZANU-PF also must stop, because ZANU-PF is not above what the president would have decreed. So there is no one who directed that ZANU-PF must do what the president has said we must not do. So we have my regulations that were put in place by the president under the Public Health Act. We cannot go against them. So that is very clear. I agree with you on that point. On compensation, you see, when you get employed, you also cede some of your rights. To say, if you want to be employed here, get vaccinated. So they have my regulations of the Public Service Commission, which we must comply with if you are a civil servant. If you don't want to comply with them, you have a right to quit. So your rights will be there. But if you join, he played rugby. He would not leave the field of play and go to the police with the kikwa. The moment he entered the field of play, some of his rights are good assault. So that's the simple answer that I can give to say it's for the protection of the generality of the civil service. That's why we are saying let's have all of us vaccinated. Once we are vaccinated, we are protecting each other. You are becoming each other's keeper, so to speak. So they are very important points. I agree. And as for resources, I think I will speak to Chokuda to say there was a directive that MPs must go and also do this job of risk communication, vachita, conscientize people, and let's avail resources so that they can get to each and every corner of the constituency. It was announced, the president announced it. So it's something, they are very valuable contribution.
Yes, marvelous. That is Mr. Ziyambi, who's the Justice Minister. That is the Zimbabwean Minister of Justice. So khonapha ke ukhuluma ukuthi ibandla leZANU-PF kumele lilandele isiqondiso zonke zokuvimba ukumemetheka kwe-COVID-19 njalo lokuthi nxa uyi-civil servant kumele uhlatshwe ijekiseni. Nxa wahlatshwa ngejekiseni ngcono utshaye phansi. So ngokutsho kwakhe nxa wavele usayina ukuthi usuyi-civil servant so kumele ulandele imithetho phela ekhona khonapho ye-Public Service Commission. So ngeke ukwenza khonokho, he says you must quit, you know.
Very interesting indeed. Yeah, I think Gibbs, we have our first guest. If you can bring them up, Miss Lusindongwe Chikowero, who's actually based here in the United States. If you can just hear from her what the situation is like in her state regarding COVID-19, where we've seen Zimbabwe has actually gotten cases that are increasing daily. We saw that yesterday, Zimbabwe reported 809 cases of COVID-19 in the country. What is the situation like where you are? Tell us where you are, your organization, and what the situation is like.
Okay, my name is Lusindongwe Chikowero. I'm based in the United States, in Madison, Wisconsin. I am from Rosaria Memorial Trust as the U.S. Director, and I'm also the MTC Communications Director.
Tell us what is the situation like there where you are in your county or state?
The situation in my state is really improved. We actually, people have been vaccinated. Almost over 50% have been vaccinated. And we saw that as of June 1st, the state lifted its mask mandate, and now we can gather without masks and activities. Life has literally gone back to normal.
Tell us about 4th of July. What was your family doing? What is the significance of 4th of July here in the United States?
Yeah, as you mentioned, 4th of July is the Independence Day for the United States. And my family actually had an opportunity to be participating in various activities around the community, including the parades and also culminating to the fireworks that we had to attend. We also had a big party with friends. It was our first time in over a year and a half of without meeting anybody. So we were so grateful for lifting. Actually, we're very grateful for the vaccinations, and we're also grateful for it's kind of still trying to get used to being outside without masks, knowing the severity of the disease. But now that things have gone back to normal, it is it was really good to start seeing friends and family again.
Tombopinda mururimi rwamai kuti mungatitsananguro here kuti muri kustate ipi uyezve kuti ndezvipi zvamuri kuonawo kustate yenyu ikoko takatarisa nyaya yedenda reCovid-19 tichiona kuti kuZimbabwe pari zvino tiri kuona uwandu hwevanhu vari kubatwa nedenda iri huri kukwira. Nezuro takaona pane vanhu 809 vakabatwa neCovid-19.
Yeah, ndinonzi Lucy Ndongwe Chikowero, ndiri kustate inonzi Wisconsin, muguta rinonzi Madison. Kuno mandiri takawanikwa vanhu vazhinji over 50% yakatobayiwa nhomba yeCovid. Saka takawanikwa zvakare musi wa1 June kuchibviswa mutemo wokuti vanhu vasasapfeka zvavo mamask, zvekusungirwa kupfeka mamask, uye zvinhu zvakatanga kuvhurika zvekuti takawanika mitambo, vanhu vave kutanga kuita mitambo, vanhu vave kutanga kusangana, uchifilawo zvakare safe. So nezuro ranga riri zuva reIndependence Day reUnited States, kwanisawo kunge tichiparticipata mune maparade anoitwa ekupemberera zuva iri, zvichizosvika manheru pane paine gungano guru chaizvo revanhu vanenge vachiona mafireworks. Takakwanisa kunge tiripo zvakare kusangana nehama neshamwari pamapati etakanga tave kuita, and izvi kutotanga kuzviita mushure megore nehafu tiri mudzimba tisingasangani. Saka ndo zvakakwanisa kunge tichizo at least kuwanawo nguva yekuzosvika pakupemberera kudai.
Thank you so much, and stay on the line. Let's bring in Professor Sola Ngwenya, who's the acting Mpilo chief executive. Let's hear what he's saying about what is going on in Zimbabwe right now. We are told in Marvelous that the hospitals are getting packed and there's a crisis right now. So let's hear from him.
Lapha amahlabe Zulu sesisenkingeni njengoba sasikhuluma umnyaka suzowaphela lokho sikhuluma ngendaba yobhubhane lolu. Ubhubhane lolu soluyandile ebantwini okumangalisayo kwamagama. Njalo ngelanga abantu ababanjwa ubhubhane lolu luyaluqansa khonaphe koBulawayo laseZimbabwe jikelele. Ubhubhane lolu nxa lufike ebantwini luqala luyande kakhulu, lungene sokubuya ukuthi uzathola ukuthi abantu sebeqala ukungena ezibhedlela, njalo sokuqalisile ezibhedlela njengoba lawo balile wabona ema-newspapers ukuthi abantu inani labantu abasezibhedlela lokhu luqansa lusiya phambili. Kuyathi kusiya ngesikhathi uzathola ukuthi abantu abaningi bazashona nxa bengajintshi lokhu esikukhulumayo ukuthi ubhubhane lolu lubangelwa into yona leyo ukuthi abantu abalaleli into ezikhulunywayo, abalandeli izinqumo ezifakiweyo phansi eze-lockdown protocols lezo ezikhulunywayo. Okwamanje ungahamba edrobheni uyathola bayenza iziminyeminya bekhipha amakhala, bagqoka amamaski khonokho esikukhulumayo, bakhupha amamaski umlomo lamakhala phandle, basesiminyeminyeni, baphethe bayakhuluma, banompolelana ubhubhane olubi kangaka. Angiboni ukuthi kathi abantu pho bazayethuswa kuyini ukuthi umbe balalele into ezikhulunywayo, ngoba ingozi le esikhona lapha emhlabeni ijikelele lakhonapha koBulawayo leZimbabwe iyesabeka kwamagama.
Manje kumele kwenziweni Sikhwicamfundo Ngwenya ngodaba lolu, ngoba kukhanya ngazani kuyaphambili lokhu kuyamemetheka ngamandla.
Lolu bhubhane lolu asiyonto yokudlala le, inkalakatha yomlilo onzima oyathatha umphefumulo yabantu omningi ngesikhathi sinye. Yikubona besikhuluma nje sixoxa kangaka ukuthi abantu bezama ukunanzelela ingozi ebuyayo. Ingozi sifikile singenile ekhaya, abantu lokho bengalandeli izinqumo ezifakiweyo, lokho besenza isiminyeminya begada izimota begcwale phakathi kuyisiminyeminya khonapho. Emalayinini lapha kumelelwe izinto ukuthatha imali evele emazweni, emabhenki ngaphi uzathola iziminyeminya zibambile mfi. Angikwazi ukuthi pho abantu bazancedwa njani nxa bengalaleli into ezikhulunywayo. Abalaleli khonoko kufaka izinqumo ezifakwe nguhulumende ziyanceda ukuthi bahlanze izandla, begqoka ama-face mask okuqondeleyo, bengahambi uphonga ukuhamba uvukela ukuhamba edrobheni, behlale phansi ezindlini zabo labokhosikazi abo behlale phansi. ngoba lokhu ukuthi bazama ukuthi kumbe umuntu uyathengisa kumbe uyenzani kangiboni ukuthi inyanga le ebuyayo isiyaphambili ngapha abaningi abantu siyabe singasekho emhlabeni. Lolu bhubhane luzobhulubisa impilo eziningi ezabantu. Yikho ukuthi ngixwayisa abantu xa abantu bengalalelanga njalo hayi bazazibonela isimanga esibuyayo.
Yeah, that is Professor Sola Ngwenya. He works for Mpilo Hospital. And we see that, Marvelous, what he's saying is that, the situation is very critical right now. And many people are not, following proper regulations. So he says people are just doing what they want. And at the end of the day, it is critical that they should follow these stipulated regulations. Right now, we've got Mr. Skumbuzo Mlalazi, who is in the UK. Mr. Mlalazi, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Dube. How are you?
Oh, we are very fine. I think we also have Miss Vivian Nomala Mapepe. So hold on there, Mr. Mlalazi. Mapepe, welcome to the show.
How are you?
No, very fine. So we'll start with you, Mapepe, before we go to Mr. Mlalazi. So tell us, how is the situation in Israel in terms of COVID-19, and how are you guys protecting yourselves?
Here we now on
well, we thought everything was under control and most of the people were vaccinated, but now it looks like we're on the third wave, and we had just removed the masks like last week, and we had our masks off for like a week, and then we were told to start putting on mask like this past Sunday, because it looks like the cases of COVID are going up again, although still not that bad. It looks like it's still under control because most of the people are vaccinated. But now they say we have to wait for the kids to vaccinate, because before it was just the adults. So now they are saying we need, we on level 1, 2 around there, because they had to close down the schools again so that the kids can get vaccinated before we can reopen everything else again.
And how are you protecting yourselves? It's like you need to protect yourself and you need to protect people around you. What's going on in terms of that kind of issue?
Yeah, when it needs to protecting ourselves, we were the first, I think, to go on lockdown last year, like around March. So I guess people are tired now. It's not everybody who's adhering to the rules. So you'll find that some people are putting on masks, some they don't, because right now the government is not so strict like last year. Mm-hmm. So we do put on masks, like myself, I do, like a lot. I noticed that since last year, I used to be attacked by flu a lot. And then ever since I started putting on my mask, like I've not had flu since last year up to this year. So I realized that it helps me a lot. So normally I have my mask on wherever I'm out there.
Yes, clarifying isindebele khonokho sibile ukuthi lina lizivikela njani kumkhuhlane lo khona ngapha kwele Israel.
Siyawagqoka ama-mask, but akusuye wonke umuntu owagqokayo ama-mask right now, because I've noticed ukuthi even emabhasini kusaselabantu abasafuna ukutshelwa ukuthi hey ingaphi imask into ezinjalo. But okunye vele abantu I think nabo bakhathele, because since thina yithi esaqalayo saba amongst amazwe aqalayo ukuba ku-lockdown last year, I guess okunye abantu bakhathele. Le government okwamanje ayikho strict ngale ndlela ekade iyona last year ngesikhathi i-COVID too much. And right now kule third wave yona le khona variant le, they say ukuthi it was imported from India and South Africa, but it's still under control. Isase like ayikabi imbi ngalolo hlobo lolo. So I guess that's why the government layo manje ingathi ayizihluphi kangako ngokulandelela abantu ukuthi bonke wonke umuntu uyalandela yini umthetho otshiwo ukuthi kumele sibuyele back to ama-mask. But sike sahlala iviki singagqoka ama-mask, and it was a good feeling, like bekukuhle, because hey unyaka wonke ugqoka imask akusinto elula.
Okay, hold on, Nomalanga there. We are coming back to you. Before we go to Miss Chindongwe, let's talk to Mr. Mlalas briefly. Marvelous.
Apo tanga tiri kunzwa muzvarebhebhe vanga vari kutaura ivo mamiriro akaita nyaya yeCovid-19 kuIsrael. Vari kutaura ivo kuti vazhinji pari zvino munyika iyi vadzokera zvakare kunopfeka mamasiki nekuti vari kuti ivo Israel yakapinda palockdown muna Machi chaimo, asi vari kufungidzira kana kuti hurumende yeko yabva yatotaura kuti kunyange vanga vakanzi ngavambomira kupfeka mamasiki ngavadzokere zvakare mukupfeka mamasiki sezvo vari kufungidzira kuti kune third wave iri kubva iyo kuIndia nekuSouth Africa. Saka ndo zvavanga vari kutaura vachiti zvikoro zvinenge zvatovharwa zvakare pari zvino vachiedza kurwisa third wave iyi. Ivo vakataurawo kuti ivo semunhu womudzimai vakange vachimbobatwa nechirwere cheflu, asi kubvira pavakatangawo kupfeka masiki vari kuona kuti zviri kutoita nani. Saka vari kuti ivo semudzimai vari kutoramba vakabatana nemasiki yavo kuzvidzivirira kubva kuCovid-19.
We also have, like what I indicated, we've got Mr. Skhumbuzo Mlalazi in UK. Mr. Mlalazi, welcome to the program, sir.
Yeah, it's an honor having me here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. How's the situation in UK?
I believe knowledge is power. The cases they are slightly going up at the moment, but we are waiting for the announcement of the government that on the 19th of this month we suspect that they will be lifting some restrictions because the country has moved on. But the good thing now, all the institutions, like I give an example, like myself, I'm a student at the university, they're spreading the information about how we behave as a people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important for the government and the institutions at the local level to say their responsibility is to educate people about how we need to behave against this pandemic. So it's not all about vaccination, it's all about to do with our behavior. Even if you are vaccinated, it does not mean you are 100% protected. You can still contract this disease, but then if you know where to go and how to behave, and you're wearing your mask, this has helped to reduce the number of newly infected people in the nation like the UK. A lot of people now they know they don't want to stay next to a person. The buses they go half empty. I think it has helped a lot.
Yes, hold on this. Marvelous, I think we still have Lucy. Go ahead.
Apo tanga tiri kunzwa kubva kuna vaSkhumbuzo Mlalazi vanga vari kutaurawo mamiriro akaita zvino kunzvimbo yeBritain kwavari kuti vakamirira kuti vanzwe kubva kuhurumende yavo kuti zvii zvichange zviri kuitika. Yavari kutaura ivo kuti pari zvino vari kuona kuti macases ari kuti kwirei, asi vakamirira kuti vanzwe hwaro kubva kuhurumende kuti zvichafamba sei, nekuti tinoona kuti hurumende dzemunyika dzakasiyana-siyana vari kupawo hwaro hwavo pari zvino kuti zvoitwa sei, nekuti kunzvimbo dzakasiyana tiri kuona iyo macases achiti kwirei. Ndikaitidzokei zvakare kwamuri Mrs. Chikowero, mombotitsanangurirawo kuti imi semudzimai tinoona pane mabasa amuri kubata kuZimbabwe. Mabasa yamuri kubata muchishanda nevechidiki nyanya kumaruwa, muri kunzwa vachiti chii panyaya iyo yeCovid-19?
Pavana vatinonyanyoshanda navo vasikana vechidiki, mateenagers nemapreteens and young mothers, survivors of child marriages, nyaya yeCovid pekutanga vakambenge vachiti havasi kunyatsonzwisisa kuti zviri kufamba sei, and we had to start kuvadzidzisa based on information yatinenge tawanawo. But iko zvino vave kuzvinzwisisa, and asi zviri kuvarwadza chaizvo kugara mudzimba, nekuti tiri kuona vanasikana like a recent case yekuti mwana akanga atoenda kunorodzwa ndevechitendero chechipostori. Mwana uyu ane makore 14 anga atotorwa atoenda kunorodzwa, but kuburikidza neurongo hwatinoita navo vana ava, akanotiza akanotsvaga kochi wedu wevasikana vebhora akavatsanangurira, then takazoengeja nehurumende ne-child protection services kuZimbabwe. Saka ufind kuti zviri kunetsa zvakanyanya munyaya dzekuti kurodzwa kwevana kwabva kwakwira, kwoona zvakare mhirizhonga mudzimba yabva yawanda. Saka COVID yacho vari kuinzwisisa, vari kugara zvavo mudzimba, but zviri kuvaremera zvakanyanya.
Maybe if you can just tell us in English, you work with some young girls in Zimbabwe. What are you, especially in the rural areas, what are you hearing coming from these young girls that you work with regarding COVID-19 at the moment, when we see that the cases are going up and, the government has actually managed to say that there are some hotspots where they are telling people that people in those areas should, refrain from gatherings and things like that?
Yes. We work with teenagers, preteens, and young mothers who are survivors of child marriages. And you'd find that at first, actually, after they closed schools, they were so confused. They couldn't understand what was really happening because the information was not flowing well in rural communities. So as we started going on, teaching them, telling them what is expected of us as an organization and of them as the beneficiaries of the programs, as well as the citizens of the community, they understood it. They are staying at home, but they're grudgingly doing so because they're saying it's exposing them to harmful practices of child marriages, of gender-based violence, and so forth. As I was giving an example of a 14-year-old girl who actually escaped child marriage from her grandfather, who was going to marry her to be a third wife. Because of the teachings that we were giving these girls, she ran away. She slept in the bush, ran away all the way, and went to find our coach, who then ended up, we facilitated engaging with the government, child protection services, and justice for children. Now she is in a safe space.
Thank you very much.
Yes, so looking at, the impact of COVID-19 on such young ladies, how is it really when you look at it, the face of COVID-19 under those circumstances?
It is really devastating because we don't have strong institutional support for these young people. They tend to depend on their families, and they're staying in these communities where services are not readily available or they cannot communicate easily. So for us, the advantage is that we have retired women who are living in those communities that we capacitated so that we can communicate with them, and also the young women that we are training as soccer coaches who are also working with these young people so they can interact with them. They don't have to have sessions to bring them in big numbers, but once in a while, even when they hear, word travel in the villages. So when they hear that, oh, this kid is in trouble, they try to make interventions and go visit with those children. But it is really difficult for them, and they are expressing that all the time we speak with them.
That's another story there. Nomalanga Pepe, when you look at issues that are happening to many Zimbabweans back home, it's a question of having food on the table, but people cannot venture out there, because of COVID-19. So when nxa usukhangele khonokho ukuthi pho abantu kumele benzeni, kumele umuntu athole ukudla phela, engazifaka imask ukuthi engabula indlala phela.
Yeah, sona isimo sakhona sinzima right now Dube. Angazi lokuthi kungenziwa njani ngoba makumele kube le lockdown and abantu kumele at the same time bathole ukudla, and looking at situation abantu abakhangelane layo ekhaya ukuthi thina vele ihulumende yethu akuseyiyo leyane yakudala esasiyazi ukuthi ilosizo ukuthi kulokudla okuholiswayo abantu. Kulobunzima shem kakhulu, kulobunzima.
So kumele abantu benzeni nxa kunjalo Mapepe?
Hayi situation yangale babudube mina ngazi vele ukuthi kungenziwa njani ngoba kunje siyazama even ukuthi thina siphandle uyanceda izihlobo kodwa uzonceda abantu abangaki bangaka abantu abalezihlobo zabeziphandle ukuthi ziyakhona ukubancedisa. Hayi into yakhona nje vele bese kufuna yona ihulumende yethu kube nguhulumende lo olothando labantu ancedise manje kulobunzima ngoba wena noma uphandle kunje ungazama ukuthi uyancedisa imithetho yakhona abayifakayo ikwenza ugcina uhlehlele emuva like ugcina ungazi ukuthi kwenziwa ngabomo ukuthi kumbe abantu bangancedisi ngoba awungeke ukuthi ngesikhathi lapho uncedo abantu beludinga khona ngamandla kube yikho lapho ofaka khona imigoqo ukuthi kube nzima ukuthi abantu bathole usizo like right now ungathi ungenisa into from phandle kumbe ama-groceries kumbe yini bazoqala ukukutshela imithetho ukuthi lokhu kumele kungene okungaka iquantity engaka uyabona into enjalo uhulumende wethu nje laye wenza izinto zingabi lula
so ungaba lula ukuthi kwenziweni maphephe ngoba hey ukhanya-ke kulohlupho lapho
kunje baba uDube ukuthi vele izinto ngendlela ezenzakala ngakhona kathesi eZimbabwe kathi bahlulwa yini ukuthi maybe bavumele ukuthi hayi makulamadona umuntu othi ufuna ukungenisa ukudla kungene ngobunengi bakho kusiza abantu because at the end of the day lawa amakhampani abathi bayawavikela ukuthi angalahlekelwa ibhizinesi yakhona yikho vele so noma bengathi ukudla kungangeni from phandle okusalayo kakukho vele khona phakathi elizweni so yikulwisana lozulu lokhana yikulwisana lomphakathi bona ngabe bayavumela abantu abafuna ukuncedisa bancedisa abantu bayenza izinto like imithetho yabo eborder ibe lula for ukuthi abantu bangenise izinto hayi ukuthi bawomise ngoba yinto ebulalayo right now ekhaya ukuthi noma ungathi uzama ukusiza bazakomisela nawe uzucina uzibuza ukuthi kati yimi engathini uyabona into enjalo yinto eyenza abantu abaningi bangathi bahlehlele emuva ngoba noma uzama ukusiza kule mali abakucharge zona igovernment yakhona ongazazi lokuthi ziya ngaphi at the end of the day ngoba azingeke zisize lo mphakathi ngesituation abantu ababhekane layo.
Right, briefly ngesilungu sibili ungathi wena as Miss Bebe, is there any way that you are helping people back home to actually try by all means to avoid contracting COVID-19? What are you doing, for the people back home?
Like right now, what I can say is I'm helping my immediate family. So as for some other people, I tried before to help, but I think because of the government conditions and everything, when it comes to importing things, they don't make it easy for somebody to help. Like there was one time I even tried, I wanted to send clothes. Then I realized like the duty was going to be too much. And then when you try to send food, they tell you of the quantity. Like imagine if you tried maybe to send a carton of cooking oil, then somebody tells you we can only allow maybe 2 containers like of 2 liters. So like how many people are you going to help with that? And at the end of the day, you need to part with more money. Whereas if only the government could say, okay, now we understand we faced with a problem as a nation. So let's just relax the conditions a bit so that it can be easy for those who are willing to help people in the country. I think that will help a lot.
Thank you very much. Marvelous. Let's switch over to this other discussion concerning the Jacob Zuma case. We know that he has actually filed papers before the courts and is expected to appear in the Constitutional Court on July the 12th. So he's challenging the 15-month sentence that was imposed by the same court. So there are indications that, his supporters are camping at Inkandla. They're saying they would rather die rather than to see Zuma being arrested. So this is a very, very, very big case.
Apo tikuona kuti takuenderera mberi chitarisa isu zviri kubuda kubva kuSouth Africa uko takaona paweekend ino takaona vatsigiri vava Jacob Zuma vachiwanikwa ivo vachiti havasi kuzobva panzvimbo iye yatinoti Nkandla kunogara vaZuma sezvo vanga vari kuti ivo vachange vari kutsigira vaZuma. Tikaona mapurisa zvakare vakamboedza kuti vaise maroadblock kuti vaiti ivo vanhu vanogara kunzvimbo yeNkandla chete kana kuti kumamisha ari pedo ndo vanopinda. Tikaona vachitorambidza vamwewo vanga vachibva kune mamwe maprovince kuti vapinde vachienda vakananga kuMkandla. Saka ticharamba takatarisa kuti zviri kubuda ipapa nekuti tinonzwa kuti vaZuma vakakwidzawo mapepa avo kudare reconstitutional court uyezve vari kutarisirwa kuti vaende kunomira pamberi pedare irori musi waJuly 12 vachiti ivo havasi kufara nekuti vakawanikwa vachinzi vaende kuchizarira kwemwedzi inoita 15. Saka ticharamba takatarisa zviri kubuda kuSouth Africa pari zvino. Gibbs.
His son is saying, sorry, Marvelous. So his son is saying, they'll only, take Zuma over his dead body. So let's listen to what he's saying.
They can give Zuma 15 months, they can give Zuma 24 months, or they can give Zuma 100 months. He's not going to even serve 1 day or one minute of that. They would have to kill me before they put their hands on him. They are not going to lay their hands on Zuma over my dead body.
Vele it has been long coming ukuthi kwenzeke lokho ukuthi uZuma egcine engenile ngasejele.
Abakantwana sizovikela umsholozi uthi engaboshwa. Into silapha nje sithi umuntu ofuna ukubopha umsholozi akaqala athathe thina kuqala. Yilonto siyesilethela. Mangabe kuthiwa bazokufika kusasa sobe sikhona nangonyaka ozayo mangabe kubenza sobe sikhona bazofika sikhona. Sizovikela sizovimba ukuthi akekho umuntu ozothatha umsholozi in our presence.
Imincane leminyaka lena because udeserve more lo muntu entweni abazenzile imali abazidlayo kuhlupheka kanje like a country, you understand. So kuye angeke ayifile nokuyifila because uzobe it's a holiday, it's like a holiday kuye because angeke ahlale njengamanye amabhadi.
Sibone ukuthi ijustice yase South Africa ayikho fair. Asikhombise isympathy ku Comrade Jacob Zuma, sitom supporter siphinde si-enforce ukuthi angayi ejele. Sitom defend.
Crimes that he committed, fraud, defrauding the country, it goes to, it's a generational thing. I mean, you have stolen from the poorest of the poorest, and obviously those poor people take care of the upcoming generation that have to fight the struggle of breaking the curse of poverty and the likes. So, yeah, the sentence itself does not justify.
With time, increasingly, his options were getting limited. As the saying goes, he was given a long rope and he reached a cul-de-sac. It's a resounding judgment that I embrace in full. And he cannot cry foul. Those who still have the temptation to put their fingers in the till, to abuse state-owned enterprises, to abuse their positions of trust, now they know that we are all equal before the law, and there is none that will be spared. That is the beauty of this judgment. That is good for the ANC leadership, especially Ramaphosa, who wants to see things being done the right way. This is very empowering to him and others who really want to turn the organization around and to turn the country around. Because the contempt that people displayed towards him and the commission in general, now they know they've got nowhere to hide. Now they know they will be called upon to account and take responsibility for their actions. This so-called, I don't remember what I remember, right? I don't want to say anything because I don't want to implicate myself. The Zondo Commission was abused, and I'm sure there will be consequences. And I'm sure if there are others who are still to appear, based on this, they will do better.
Zuma going to jail, I think for me, it's not a good thing. I totally disagree with that. We have people here, even us as youth, we've seen what President Zuma has done during his term of office. So this is so unfair. President Zuma has been nothing but the best to us as the youth, and he has been fighting for the black South Africans, which are poorly and marginalized. So I totally disagree with this.
Those are mixed feelings there, Marvelous. We saw supporters saying, you know what, we are going to camp here at Tinkandla by all means necessary and do whatever we can. Then we had a professor at the Institute of African Renaissance saying, you know what, this is what the doctor ordered, because Zuma has been doing a lot of things. So he says right now, he eat a cul-de-sac, so he deserves that kind of a thing. And then when one lady, was saying, You know, to Zuma, it's sort of like if he goes to jail, it's like a holiday because he won't be living like other inmates, you know. Says it will be like a holiday, you know, just enjoying himself. But Zuma is saying, no, 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 this is like apartheid. You know, you are not tried accordingly. You are just told you have to be locked up, and that's it. So he says, no, no, break the chains of apartheid, and that's how he sees things. You
And
know?
it's very interesting to
Mhm.
see the amount of energy. Even the young youth who just spoke the last, I think he was the last or second last, I can't remember.
Mhm.
He literally, is very keyed up about, how he feels about Zuma. And you see, women, you see men, especially the men. I mean, they are coming out full force to say, we are behind Zuma and this is not fair.
Mhm.
Also, to balance it, it was good to see what the professor had to say about the issue. Because I think what we saw over the weekend, you could really feel like they, a very kind of warlike situation, near Nkandla there. So I'm happy that they were able to contain the situation, and we'll be watching to see what happens by July the 12th. Apo tanga tiri kunzwa vatsigiri vavaJacob Zuma vachitaura ivo pamusoro pemaonero avo pane zvichange zviri kuitika kana vaZuma vakaenda kujeri. Tanzwawo vamwe vanga vari kushora. Taona profesa muzvinafundo vanga vari kutaura ivo kuti aiwa vaZuma ngavateedzere murawo, kana vakawanikwa ivo vakatadza vanofanira kusungwa. Asi tikazonzwawo vamwe vatsigiri vavo vachichema kuti aiwa vaZuma vari kudzvanyirirwa, uyezve tanzwa mwana wavo mukomana achitaura iye kuti baba vake havakwanisi kunge vachienda kuchizarira. Kana vachienda kuchizarira ari kuti iye vanotanga vatomuuraya iye kuti vazotora baba vake. Gibbs.
Yes, so Mr. Mlalazi, I think you have got a lot to say about, the Zuma case. So at the end of the day, does it deserve all this,
No, he does not deserve
Why?
all this. Actually, naturally, the gentleman we are talking about here, uMnu, is naturally intelligent and a disciplined leader. I will rank him as one of the people. I'll just name other names that have been taught as a young child. The likes of Sankala, Steve Biko, Chris Hani, Joshua Mkamgongo, Babu Mandela. Those were the disciplined leaders. They preached about the freedom of black people wherever they are in Africa as a continent, as a country, which was divided in Berlin. So I believe to myself, I've been listening. I lived in South Africa for many years. And the dogs have been backing to Jacob Zuma ever since. If you think, I always ask myself, how does he not have a mentally breakdown at this stage? Because at the age of 16, he was 100 man. He had to join the forces who took up arms to say, black people, we need to be included in Africa, in our country, South Africa, to be included in whatever decisions that are done for this country called South Africa. It has to be, it took them decades. He spent so many years in prison. If you look at Mandela, everything was made it difficult for a black man in South Africa, but everything was made easy for the oppressors, for the colonizers. If you look at the former Boer party leaders like Botha and de Klerk, everything was made easy for them. They stole money, they made that people, but nobody followed them. They even refused to come to attend these commissions, these kangaroo commissions that they keep on creating in South Africa. But then if you look at a leader like uMnu, actions speak louder than words. This man belongs to the people. If you look at all those people, they travel across Africa, not only in KwaZulu-Natal, to support it. I've seen in Soweto people were saying, hands off Babu Zuma, because which party in Africa, especially the liberation parties, they are all captured, they follow. I've been to Zimbabwe the other day, and I'm looking at the Zimbra papers, they're still written Rhodesian, article number so and so. So I believe that all these criminal cases put upon our leader, Babu Msholozi, from the beginning, they're about 700. Now they're about 18. What happened to the over 600 criminal cases that they were dropped? They need to compensate him for wasting his time going to court, wasting his money, fighting things that were fabricated against him. So today, I still believe Ubabu Zuma is a strong rock wall around him that he created by talking the facts to say a black man has to be respected, has to be included in every decision that is made.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I think Ms. Chugoro is shaking her head.
Yeah, very interesting views there coming from
Yes.
So let's hear the women's view. What is your view on what is happening in South Africa, and also just to comment on what Mr. Mlalazi said?
Okay, first of all, I'm not a very good political commentator, but in my view, there is need for accountability. If we look at this case from a political lens, then yes, we are going to see political persecution. But when we look at it from a legal perspective, as well as accountability, to whom more is given, more is expected. So what actually is special about President Zuma? When you say, okay, because he was a president, because he fought in the liberation struggle, that is what has made, what has led to the failing of most African states or most states, because we are looking at the history as if these are the only ones who fought the liberation struggle. They were part of the communities that fought the liberation struggle. Yes, they may have been leaders, but if you are a leader, then you shouldn't really abuse state resources, because more people suffer. These resources are supposed to be shared equally among people or be used for the vulnerable communities, but they end up not getting it. So I really think the laws are there to be followed by everyone. I really also kind of look at the lens. This is not unique. Look at the perspective of our own country here in the United States. Once you leave the office of the president, you are now an ordinary citizen. And in some of the things, you become accountable to what you have been, what you did or what you have been doing. So you are held liable to your criminal activities. So hapana mutu unofanira kuyera demo.
Ya ndozvandachida kubvunza kuti imi munoona sei zvatiri kuona zviri kuitika kuSouth Africa? Tinoona vaMulalazi vati vaZuma ndo vanofanira kutobhadharwa nekuti vakarwa hondo, vakange ndivo vanga vari mukuru weANC, vakawanikwa zvakare vachimbosungwa vari mudiki nezvimwe zvakawanda, uyezve tanga tiri kuona vazhinji vachiuya kumba kwavo kunkandla vachiimba kuti kwete vaZuma havasi kuzoenda kuchizarira nekuti vari kuti ivo vakarwa hondo uyezve vakarwira kodzero dzeSouth Africa. Imi munoonawo sei?
Kurwa hondo havana kurwa vega, vakarwa nemhomo yevanhu. Ndinorangarira mazuva etairwawo yedu chaiyo, painzi hanzi zvona vakomana dzaive hove dziri mugungwa, handiti vana mukoma veve hove dzaive mugungwa, and of meaning the sea was the people. So pavairwa hondo vaZuma havana kurwa voga. Yes, he may have been a leader, but izvezvi zvekuti compensation, it is a totally different subject. Kana vada kucompensatwa for leading the liberation struggle, that's a different conversation. But abusing state resources is not acceptable. There should be accountability.
Yes, Mr. Mlalazi, she's talking about the rule of law here.
Yes, thank you so much, Baba Dube.
Yeah, changa sindebele kukala ngamafutshane ukuthi ye khonokho ponti gaga isikhathi sesiphele.
The only criminal thing that I can talk about in South Africa is inequality and amongst races in South Africa. I'm not saying Zuma fought for him to be stealing. Whatever our heroes fought for, especially I'm going to talk about South Africa. I'm not talking about any other country like Zimbabwe had a man who thought Zimbabwe belongs to him, Mugabe. No, I'm talking about South Africa. The inequality in South Africa, if you look at how black people are being treated in South Africa, it's not fair. Especially a man like Zuma. If Zuma has to be tried, it has to be the same way, the same court. They have to treat every former president of South Africa, the same way that can be treated our leader Zuma. If you look at de Klerk, for instance, he said to them, I'm not going to attend those kangaroo black courts, meaning the same commission that Zuma is refusing to go to. And he's not refusing. Zuma has been into this, accepting coming to this court for so many times. And he won so many cases that were fabricated against him. Why is it now today they can continue? This man is they're still coming up with cases that which are irrelevant. They're saying to the world, Zuma has to serve 15 months in prison. Before him, he even denied those cases, but they go on to say he has to go to prison, of which to me is just an insult to people, black people like me. So I'm saying to anyone who thinks a black man is lesser than a white man in South Africa, it's a mistake. We know we have to be equal. First of all, those people in South Africa who came, who now they are enjoying the resources of South Africa at the expense of the cheap labor in South Africa, which is very, it's not in the 21st century. We are still having people who are treated like slaves in South Africa. There are white-only schools in South Africa. There are, white-only pubs and things like that, and the beaches belong to white people. What is that? If you can explain that, why can't the same court rule over that? It's a criminal. That's a criminal.
Thank you very much. Let's get Vivian Nomala Mapepe because our time is running out. Mapepe, ubona njani udaba lukaZuma?
Hayi, mina udaba lukaZuma ngima lo Zuma like hayi kukhona nje okuchaya amanzi. Why kumele kube nguZuma? I know ukuthi bazama ukubonisa umphakathi ukuthi akukho umuntu ongale komthetho. Wonke umuntu uyakwanisa ukubotshwa. But ngibona ingani like why kumele kube nguZuma okumele bemsebenzisa ukubonisa ukuthi umthetho uyasebenza eSouth Africa ngemva kwezinto zonke ezenzakalayo eSouth Africa. Why kumele kube nguZuma ngaphandle makukhona okunye abangasitsheli khona?
Ngephula umthetho.
Ukawephulanga eyedwa. Why kumele kube nguye oya ejele? Ngoba into le ungayilandeleli labo Mandela phakathi ikhuphuka isiza. Why kumele uZuma kube nguye ofela izono zabantu bonke abe ANC kahle kahle? Angiboni mina ukuthi wephulile umthetho kuphi.
Kodwa asikho khona okusela iZimbabwe phansi.
Akusikho yikho, but angazi when it comes to uZuma nje angazi. I think kulale nto nje ngoZuma ukuthi mawuyicabanga nje into yakhona ubona ngathi bayamhlasela ngoba yes thina iZimbabwe yaya phansi ngento efana laleyi ukuthi kuthiwe kulabantu ababotshwayo abanye ababotshwa yes. But ungafuna ukukhangela iSouth Africa right now sokuze kungathi bingcono ngesikhathi phethwe nguZuma ngoba lokhu bakhupha uZuma ubengcono ngento eziningi. iSouth Africa ibingcono, but right now ungakhangela ukuthi iSouth Africa ikuphi uzobona ukuthi uZuma ubengcono kakhulu.
Yes, siyabonga Mapepe. So let's bring the other lady just for a few seconds before we conclude our show. So Chindongwe, just 1 minute of your time now. Our time is up. Just 1 minute.
Okay. Yeah. Actually, for with the Zuma case, I just wanted to say he was presiding over the courts. He knows what those institutions were capable of doing. So I, as I said, I'm not a very good commentator on politics, and especially the politics of South Africa. My issues mainly are centering around women and girls, and my last word is, especially on the education part of it. The UNICEF is saying we have 130 million girls out of school, and 11 million of them are not going to be able to go back to school at all. So as a country, I know we have these programs where kids were supposed to be learning via WhatsApp and all that stuff, and free curriculum that is supposed to be happening through radio. Not all the girls in rural communities or girls and boys in rural communities have access to gadgets, any form of gadgets. So we need to make sure that we don't leave a lot of people behind, because it is devastating for our economy and the well-being of the country.
Yes. So I think we've come to the end, Marvelous. Unfortunately, so no extra time here, right?
Unfortunately. But,
yeah, time is gone, because if we overlap, we're going to be charged, like you guys, you're using our time for wrong reasons. So, but thank you so much for coming today. We wish to thank Mrs. Lucy Ndongwe Chikowero. She is here in USA. Vivian Nomalanga Pepe, she is in Israel, Tel Aviv, and Mr. Kumbuzo Mlalazi, I guess he is in London. Signing off is Gibbs Dube in Washington, D.C., saying good night, Zimbabwe.
I'm Marvelous Mhlanganya Huyen Titi ngatisangane mangwana pa Let's Talk ngati kurukureyi.
Good night.